It's the Corvette Web Blast.
Welcome to Corvette Web Blast number 5, date recorded Wednesday the 5th of June. We're here at Claremont Corvette again, guests of Tom Falconer, author of many Corvette books and a great authority on the subject. Thanks for having us again, Tom.
It's always a pleasure.
Gives us a nice backdrop of rather pretty cars. Also, we've got Gary Garwood, Kent rep in the CCUK here in the UK. I was Gary's co-rep a few years ago, but I've left him to do that job with John Robinson. But our very special guest this evening is Harlan Charles, who is the Corvette brand product manager at General Motors. Harlan, thanks for joining us.
Oh, thanks. This is great doing this. Thanks to all of you for having me, and I hope this is fun.
I guess times are pretty good for you at the moment with the excitement of the C7.
Yeah, you might have heard we got this new little car we're introducing all over the world, but it's been so exciting to see not only just our Corvette fans that we've had to see the new car, but I think we're all going to have to welcome in a new generation of Corvette enthusiasts of all ages that we're really seeing excited about the new Corvette Stingray for 2014. From
what you're saying, there's a feeling that the younger generation are going to be more interested in this car. Is that right?
Yeah, I think the younger generation, that people who love cars, who appreciate what's new, what's current, and then also I think a new group that may not have been interested in the Corvette as much before is now taking notice about the new generation coming out. Owners of other sports cars, competitors of things. Anytime you do something new with high technology and excellence, they're going to take notice.
So could you tell us what your role is?
Yeah, as the product marketing manager, I have to wear a lot of hats. I kind of consider myself where everything intersects. I represent the customer and marketing, and one of my things that I spend the most time on and am proud of is planning the future models, not just things like the all-new generation, but then the annual changes, the options we'll have, the potential specs of the new car, our targets that we're going to set. And I work closely with Tad Juchter, the chief engineer, as well as working for Chevrolet marketing. So that's kind of my dual role. And it's really been a great job. It's something I've been doing for about 12 years now.
So have you been actively feeding back previous feedback of C6 to what's in the C7?
Yeah, absolutely. What makes my job maybe easier than some of my counterparts on other cars and trucks and vehicles is that, as you know, in the Corvette community, even evidenced by what you guys are working on, is that we get instant feedback on everything we do. So it's not like you have to go and do market research and pull that out. With the Corvette forums and clubs and the different events we go to, we get firsthand with all our customers and hear it right, things they like, things they don't like, ideas, suggestions, and that's really a big part of planning the future is get the ideas from everybody. So everybody really, all the Corvette customers really had a part in this new 2014 Corvette Stingray, can feel some ownership for it and things that we've done.
So how many brand managers are there at General Motors? I guess there must be quite a few. You've just got the best one, haven't you?
Right, that's how I feel. I think I've got the best one. But to your point, yeah, like for example, there's the Camaro. I have a counterpart on the Camaro and the Malibu, the Spark, the Sonic. All the car lines basically have somebody like myself.
Can I ask you how you've got to this job? What's been your career path to get to where you are now?
Well, I probably have a different career path than some of my counterparts. That I started at Design Center at General Motors Design, and more of an engineering background and design. I worked in a concepts group where our job was to come up with new ideas that would help design. I had also worked a little bit as Cadillac Technology. I worked for a car we used to have called the Oldsmobile. But my dream car has always been the Corvette, and it's always been my goal to someday get involved with the Corvette, obviously, and this is the best job anyone could ever have, especially me.
So can you tell us what Corvettes you've personally owned?
Yeah, I have and still own a 1990 that I got just when I've owned since it was new. It's kind of my dream car, and I've never had the heart to part with it. I did have a 99 I bought later on, and that's about when I was starting on the Corvette team. I had that for a while, and then we started getting the new cars. Part of my job, which is it's a tough one, but part of our job is we have to evaluate all the cars for quality, and we get the new cars every year. So basically, I've had one or two of the new models since then every year.
Right. Also, if we can just join Stephen Irons as well, who's I think you're an honorary member of the CCUK, aren't you, Stephen? And you're living in France.
Lifetime member, yes, honorary lifetime member. For the one.
And he used to run the Kent area along with before Gary and I took it over. So welcome, Stephen. Stephen, we're already up and running with Harlan. Harlan, one of the fun aspects of your job is some of the things you get to go to. You've just been to the Indy 500, and of course it was paced by the C7, wasn't it?
Yeah, actually, we had back-to-back. We had the Indy 500 a week ago, and this past weekend we had the Detroit Grand Prix, and the new Corvette Stingray in the Laguna blue color were the pace cars for both of those races. And again, a lot of exposure for people who hadn't seen the car. And as you know, we're defending not only our championship with the American Le Mans Series with the Corvette C6R. We have in this Rolex Series, we have the Daytona Prototype Corvette, which we're manufacturers champions. And in Indy cars, Chevrolet is the manufacturers champion for the Indy cars. So we really putting all that together with these race weekends we've been having and being able to show off the new Corvette.
And so, do we get pace car editions of the C7?
Well, no, I think we're not planning to do, like we've done in the past, some of the, we'll call the pace car replica editions. We really kept the cars very stock, to be honest. You know, the car is so new. The only real difference is the graphics. We've been debating if, there's usually some people that want to get the graphic designs. We might make that available, but haven't really decided yet. But the basic car, the Laguna Blue Corvette Stingray with the Z51 package is standard production.
And is the engine, I mean, it's obviously got to get around there at a fair old lick. Is the engine standard, or do you have to hot that up a bit?
No, everything. The only thing we have to do is add some lighting. We added some special lighting, and we reconfigure the headlamps as kind of strobe lamps to get the attention of the drivers and things like that. Other than the lighting, it's 100% what we're planning to sell.
Chevrolet's got a pretty good relationship with Indy, hasn't it? Chevrolet cars have been pacing it since 2002, I noticed, and most of those are Corvettes. I think there was a couple of Camaros and a SSR truck as well. But how have you cultivated that relationship?
Well, it's a good relationship we have with both Indianapolis and Indy Racing, and it is a good exposure. I think it's even more important now that we have Chevrolet powered cars in the racing series. Makes it a lot more exciting. But yeah, I mean, it goes back to the 1978 silver anniversary Corvette pace car for the 25th anniversary that we did, and those cars do have a following. And it is, our car appeals to motor racing fans, obviously, as a car that has a lot of motor sport influence in it. So it's a good place to show off the new car.
Just to say, you've met Gary Garwood, haven't you? We've got Gary here. You met him, I believe, at Sebring.
Yes,
yeah.
I see Gary and Ann are at Sebring, so my best friends. We have a lot of good time together.
There you go, a picture of you there.
There we are. Okay.
So, talking of races, obviously Le Mans is up and coming. Are you going over there?
Unfortunately, no. I kind of a little too much to do right now, getting the new car ready. So I'm not going. I hope to go next year when we'll have the new C7R running there next year. So I hope to make it next year, but not this year, unfortunately.
I don't know if you know, we did a great interview with Ollie Gavin earlier this year, and those guys are really looking forward to getting their hands on the C7.
Oh yeah, definitely, and we really have had those guys in the development process. As you see, looking at the exterior of the car, just some of the aerodynamic features. And you're showing now the hood. The thing that's really neat about that, we went to a forward tilt radiator, and so the air flows from under the car, and the hot air escapes through the top of the car, and that really does a lot to reduce the lift on the front end of the car. You're showing the rear quarter vents, which cool the transmission on the left side, cool the differential axle on the right side, and these are things that have been incorporated in the race car. Nice thing we put in production, now it's a straight transfer to the race to production.
Can you tell us more about the nanotechnology that you got with the carbon fiber built into the bodywork?
Yeah, we have, that's a good question. We have what we call carbon nano hybrid technology, and what we've done is on some of the other parts of the car, specifically in the rear and the tub area, we call it, which is where your storage area is, it's basically a mixture of composites and carbon fiber ground together. That is a good material that reduces a lot of mass versus the basic composites we would use previously. So it is a new material taking advantage of recycled carbon fiber and to reduce weight.
Can you tell me about the driver mode selector and how it operates?
Yeah, that's a great question. The driver mode selector is one of my favorite features of the new 7th generation 2014 Corvette Stingray. It's a simple to use. It's basically a dial that's under the in the console, right next to the or below, I should say, the shifter. And there's 5 modes. We have weather, eco, tour, sport, and track. So what it allows you to do, it really tailors the car on 12 different attributes for the type of driving you want to do. I kind of call it a graphic equalizer for the car. And there's different settings. On the different settings, it can change things like the sound of the exhaust, the feel of the steering, the magnetic ride settings, the settings on how firm or soft the shock program is, throttle progression, even the gauge cluster. We even change the appearance of the gauge cluster. We have these 8-inch high-definition screens in the car, and we can change the design of the gauges to fit the mode that you're in. So, for example, in your touring mode, the gauge is kind of a high-tech look, but it's optimized to show things like, of course, your trip information. You can show your album art, your audio information if you have an iPod, turn-by-turn navigation. In the sport mode, it's more of the traditional Corvette gauges, straightforward and clean. And then in the track mode, what we've done is we've emulated the C6R gauges where it has shift lights, the Formula One style shift lights. It has a tack that's optimized towards the higher RPM bands. And we have G meters, lap timers, friction circle. So there's a lot of fun features in that as well to help your driving.
And is that on all models, both models of the car?
Yeah, all models get the driver mode selector. However, depending on how your car is set up, you could have more things to control. Obviously, the cars with magnetic ride control have that feature in. If you have the performance exhaust, that gives you more variation in the exhaust sound, things like that with the right. So there's, depending on what options you have, is more that it can control.
And the 7-speed active rev match for the manuals, that's an interesting feature. Tell us about that one.
Yeah, that's our new manual transmissions. I think some manufacturers are going away. What we've done, we've kind of done the opposite. We've added more technology to the manual other than going to the 7 speeds. This active rev match feature is a really, I think it's a great feature to make everybody a better driver. Anybody that's driven a manual, if you're trying to do high performance, we've all tried to learn, the heel toe downshift thing to match the revs to make you a smoother driver. What this does, it's a feature that you can turn on using the paddles on the steering wheel. So at the default, it would be off. So you can turn this on, and what it does is it really aids in your shifting. It basically matches revs. It works both upshifts and downshifts, so they're more noticeable on the downshifts, and really makes everybody driving a manual feel like an expert driver. And even if you are somebody that's very proficient at the heel toe technique, say you're going to a new track or new course for the first time, it takes some of your mental workload away. you can concentrate on learning the line of that track and let the car do the rev matching for you, and then later on, when you feel more confident, you can take over if you want to do it yourself.
So take me through this. So say you're changing down from, I don't know, 5th to 4th or whatever. You obviously put your foot on the clutch. Is it as the gear stick goes through the centre gate? Is that when the blip happens?
Yeah, there's actually a position sensor in the transmission. So you could even do exactly what you said. You could even do a preview. So, for example, say you are downshifting from 5th. You could put it halfway to 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and you can get a preview of where the RPM, where the revs are going before you engage and let the clutch out all the way to help you decide what gear to go in if you want. You almost play it like a musical instrument.
Yeah, I've heard the musical instrument idea. Now tell us about the paddle shifts on the automatic cars.
Yeah, we also have the 6-speed paddle shift automatic, and we've done some improvements, obviously, for the higher torque engine. We've decreased the shift times by cutting the throttle in the middle of shifts, and we've also gone to the more, I think, universally accepted in racing and now production right-left paddle arrangement, where plus is the right, minus is to the left.
Yeah, Stephen, you've got thoughts on the paddle direction, haven't you?
Yes, it was something which, well, actually, I wanted to ask Harlan when I saw him ages ago at Breckenridge for Corvettes on the Rockies, the business of it being pushed forward to change up and pull back to change down, which always seemed counterintuitive to me. But if it's left-right, then that's obviously how everybody else seems to be doing it these days, which is more logical, I think.
Now, Gary, did you say, is that the same as the Camaro?
Yes, that's the same as the Camaro, yes.
So the C7's fallen into line with the Camaro now, is that right, Harlan, in the way that works?
Well, and Camaro, and I think in general, most of the sports cars in the world and race cars have gone that direction. When we first came out with it back in 2006, there wasn't really a universally accepted way to do it. We were probably one of the early ones to have it. And we talked to some autocrossers, and they seemed to feel that they really wanted to be able to find that downshift quickly. And that's why we did try the one idea where we had both sides had the downshift as the easier one to hit the back of the paddle, was our strategy before. But now we see how the trend is going and how the tradition is what people are used to, and we're making that change.
So you say autocross is obviously a very good use of a C7. C7's got a lot more lightweight materials in it now. How have they been involved in integrated into the car?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. We've gone to aluminum frame across. So now this is the first time we've done an aluminum frame with the convertible and removable roof panel. So that saves about 100 pounds of mass, plus it's 57% stiffer. So, for example, now the convertible Corvette is now stiffer than the aluminum frame, say Z06, Z01 was with the roof in. So we've really made a lot of improvements there. And we also have a carbon fiber hood, which will be standard on all Corvettes. And on the coupes, we have a carbon fiber roof panel. And I really like it because it really does two benefits. Of course, you get the lighter mass and the and the center of gravity. You lower the center of gravity, which is important. But the thing that most people will appreciate is just removing and storing the roof panel is much easier now because it's lighter. It's only weighs 16 pounds now.
What have you got to come in the future performance models? I guess you can't. I guess you can't. You tend not to answer that question, but everyone's asked us. We've had some questions on the web saying, what are the packages that are up and coming? What's your response to that?
Well, I have to put my corporate hat, unfortunately be that guy and say we're not allowed to talk about future products. But what I will say is anybody that knows and's followed Corvette, through the last generation knows that we're always working to create higher performance models and more performance. And we've shown that we can stretch the bandwidth of the Corvette, to compete with the best in the world. And we're going to continue to do that. And we also try to have news every year of the Corvette, so we stay tuned. I can't give any specifics of anything right now, but I'll let everybody speculate, but we obviously are going to be working on higher performance going forward.
See, if they speculate, it can go nuts. You could nail it down.
Yeah, I can tell you that there's maybe 10% of everything everybody says is correct, but I can't tell you which 10%.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just going to ask what improvements that you made on the convertible on the C7.
Yeah, we actually introduced the convertible in Geneva, in Europe, actually with a former Manchester United player. I don't know if you guys saw that introduction, but maybe that's a bad one to bring up. I don't know if you're fans of that team or not. But anyway, I won't get into that. The new convertible, we've done a lot of things to enhance the convertible. First of all, what I talked about, all the improvements we've done on the coupe model flow through. That uses the same structure because we designed the structure to be a convertible from the beginning. You can get the Z51 performance package, all the options you can get on the coupe, basically performance-wise. The other thing we've done with this new top is it's a full power top, so no more mechanical latches that you have to do. It's just a one-button operation. And as Corvette drivers, we're all always, like to do things in a hurry or like to do things quickly. So you can use the transmitter or key fob, as we call it, as you walk up to the car, lower the top, drive off on the top. If you get, which can happen where you guys live, you could get caught in a rainstorm. The nice thing about it, you can go up to 30 miles an hour, 50 kph, and operate the top at speed if you have to, so you don't have to pull over and stop anymore.
You do get rain over there as well, do you?
We do. We get lots of rain over here as well.
We've got a glorious day here, actually. It's absolutely blue sky outside, so we've just had a bout of nicer weather.
Yes. Can you tell me how the aero package works on the Z51 on the convertible? How do you get the cooling to those coolers?
Yeah, that's a good question. One of the things a lot of people noticed the coolers on the quarters that we just talked about in the quarter panels that we took from the race car on the coupe model. Because of the convertible operation, the tonneau cover, we could not route the cooling through there. It was where the top is located and things like that. So what we've done on the convertible is we have vents inside the wheelhouse, and if you took off the rear wheel, you could see it. But we have it inside the wheelhouse. We have the same cooling vents, just the air comes in from underneath. Not quite as efficient lift-wise as the coupe is, but it does provide the cooling that we need for the transmission and the axle in the convertible model.
One of the other options you've got is the seats. You've got two different types of seats for the car.
Yeah, well, that was one of our focus areas, really, on the new Corvette. Was to really go after the seats. And what we decided was there really was different types of customers. We wanted a seat, we're calling it the GT seat. We wanted a seat that was improved, vastly improved over the previous seat in terms of lateral support, but was still very comfortable for a wide variety of people, shapes and sizes, and also could be a great road trip car and for people that put a lot of mileage on their Corvette. But we also wanted, for the hardcore enthusiasts, people who do a lot more track driving, a special seat with even more support, and we call that the competition sports seat. So that seat was designed for more the hardcore track enthusiasts, people who do a lot of events. And it's not necessarily for everybody, but we think for people who want the highest performance, will like that one.
So it wraps around you a little more, does it?
Yeah, it wraps around you a little bit more. It also has carbon fiber on the openings on the headrest, and we did design it so that we don't offer this, but aftermarket could offer racing harnesses, and it is compatible with that.
Harlan, I've got a question which is less technical but more on the marketing side, I guess. Personally, I got my first Corvette when I was about 22. It was in 1966, and I've had Corvettes ever since, and I'm now, I have to admit, in my 60s. And I was very much aware of the fact back in the early 70s that the average age of the Corvette buyer was about 25, and I've got the feeling now that the average age of the Corvette buyer is very much closer to my own age. This strikes me as a dangerous trend, because there comes a point where guys in their 70s and maybe hitting to their 80s are going to say, I don't want a Corvette anymore. My question really is, it seems to me that the Corvette should be a young man's car, and are you seeing any reduction in the average age of buyers, or is it a steady trend upward?
Well, I think there's a couple things going on. I think the market in general, people in general, are getting older, with the baby boom, we call it, and things like that. So there's a little bit of that no matter what. But to your point, I think you make a good point. What we've done is maybe been a victim of success. In the 5th generation and the 6th generation Corvette, we had a lot of years where we couldn't really build any more Corvettes if we want to, and sometimes the corporation will put the marketing and everything more into other cars that need it more. We're selling, we spent our money on racing and things like that. But we did, notice what you've noticed. There's a generation out there that maybe is missing how special the Corvette is, and didn't really grow up with the Corvette as much as the previous generation. So one of the things we're doing, obviously, the new car is big and important for that. We're also doing things like we're in the Gran Turismo video game, Gran Turismo 5 and the new Gran Turismo 6 that's coming out. You can actually download the Corvette and race it, and it's the Sony PlayStation. It's one of the most realistic driving simulators out there, and that's not necessarily for. Of course, it's for our customers, and people who love Corvette will like it, but then also a new group will get exposed to the Corvette as well. And one of the things we did on that hadn't been done before is we released the car in the camouflage even before we showed it, so you could drive the prototype. And then when we introduced it at the auto show, you could see the exposed car. So we're doing things like that. We're going to do more test drive activities when the car is released. So we are going to do a lot of marketing in the future to try to get a new generation, and also just new customers of all ages that haven't been exposed to the Corvette. But we're always going to protect, the core Corvette enthusiasts, no matter what age you are. You have to be loyal to your loyalists, the people that have been there and love the Corvette. So that's our first priority, and second priority is to get new customers.
So I guess getting into the video game gets them young.
Yeah, it does. The video game gets, and it's worked both ways. We've talked to our friends at Sony, and we've talked to them about people who bought the video game because they had the car, and people who hopefully, we have over almost 2 million downloads of the car. So even if a small percentage of those aspire to get a Corvette someday, I mean, that would be great. But it's just the beginning. We're gonna start to do more things on that level.
So how does that work? Do you go to Sony, or does Sony come to you?
This one was a little of both. They had wind of the new Corvette, and they were interested in it. The creator of the game was very interested in the new Corvette, and it was something that we were receptive to. And now we're looking for. It's been successful so far, so now we're kind of looking back. What else can we do going forward along these lines? And we're doing some things too. There's these, I don't know if you guys have seen, there's these big posters, and usually they're used for sporting events. It's a big web, it's called Fathead, is the name of it, and a lot of young people put these on their walls, with their big, huge items. And in the past, it's been more sports oriented, your favorite football or basketball stars. But now we're going to do Corvettes, either the new Corvette, obviously, or logos, because we all were there. I mean, all of us probably remember putting the posters up of our favorite, dream cars when we were growing up. And so this will be an opportunity for the Corvette Stingray to be that car for a lot of people.
So just give us a sum up. When are we seeing the car on the roads for real? When can we go and get it?
Well, in America, it's in the third quarter. We'll start seeing cars go to dealers, we're saying, which are late summer. For Europe, I think it's towards the end of a little bit later in the calendar year. Probably we would say the fourth quarter or fall. And so you're seeing those around. And then the convertible model follows about 3 to 4 months after that, after the coupe model. And the only thing that's not available from the start, other than that, would be the competition sport seats we talked about earlier. They will come out roughly around the same time as the convertible, but of course they'll be available for coupes and convertibles.
Excellent. Stephen, did you have a question?
No, I was just going to say, I mentioned this to Gary actually the other day. We were at a French Corvette Club meeting a couple of weekends ago and met a chap there who had come from the Porsche world and had a few 911s in his life and was looking to change to another 911 and tested a number of cars, and in the end switched to a Corvette because he felt that everything that the Corvette did, it did better than the Porsche. This is the C6, obviously, with the exception of the brakes, which I gather you've now addressed that issue on the C7. So he's obviously now looking forward to the C7, which will be better in every aspect as far as he's concerned, which I thought was quite interesting.
Yeah, we now have, you mentioned the brakes, we have standard 4-piston brakes sourced with Brembo, and on the Z51 package, it actually has the slots or grooves that we emulated right from the C6R racing experience. So yeah, even the standard brakes are very high performance now.
Harlan, this must be the first Corvette in 30 years made without a braking system sourced in Australia.
Yeah, we had some. We had Australia, we had Bosch. Although the ZR1 model had Brembo carbon ceramic brakes previously from Italy. So not the first, but now going to them across the board, I think they're considered, the standard in high performance brake systems. So we're proud to have them on the car.
I see on the on the rear indicators, you've gone to amber lights on the rear. Is that a thing you're doing across the board for the Europe as well?
Yes, one of the advantages of the tail lamps going to the LED technology, which I think everybody appreciate. We were able to go to a common, international look and design. We used to have two different types of designs before, so it really enables us to get that appearance we like, with the red, but then still have the amber turn signals and things like that. And we've really done a lot to try to make the car more international, so that it's not so different depending on what markets you buy. So, for example, the European cars will basically be identified separate from the North American cars. The only real differences will be the larger outside mirrors with the side marker lamps required in Europe, and the headlamp washer system for Europe. Other than that, visually, the cars will be the same, and the options and many things like that are all a lot more common than we've done in the past.
And what about the fog lights? Are they built into the same light?
What we've done with we've got the daytime running lights, we call them, which are now integrated, and they're LED, and they function as both a daytime running light or a fog lamp. So we've kind of integrated that into one function. They're kind of the boomerang shape that you see in the front of the car.
Stephen, you got anything else you want to add from over there in France?
No, I think Harlan's covered more or less everything. I think we here in France will be interested to see how they price, of course, because they seem to be colossally expensive here in France. But apart from that, I think for me, I'm just waiting to see it at Tour.
And I guess we're not going to see a right-hand drive one, are we? For us poor little chaps in the UK.
No, no right-hand drive yet. It is something that we talked about. We keep discussing, maybe sometime in the future, but not in the immediate future. And then the pricing, of course, we can't do anything about the taxes, but we try to keep it more. We are going to try to keep it more consistent, country to country as well.
And I was wondering if you could tell me about the personalisation options that you have on the C7.
Well, that's a good question. Yeah, we didn't really talk a lot about that. We have a lot of personalization options. Actually, we have the top level Corvette, we call the 3LT for the third level trim, has some options where you can, of course, it comes with a leather wrapped interior. The instrument panel and doors are all wrapped in leather, and you can get a suede upper. So the upper part of the car, that we call the A-pillars, the headliner, around the rear windows, are all wrapped in suede. So what we really try to do is go after, any of the excuses with our interior. Obviously, the interior is as exciting as the exterior. So in addition to some of the exterior options, we have brake colors. You can get yellow or red painted calipers. We have lots of wheel options. We actually we have silver, we have machine, we have black, we have chrome. We have an accessory torque wheel that was shown in Geneva on the convertible. That's available, a slightly different design. And we even have, of course, we have a lot of Stingray logo type of items for the interior, exterior wheel caps. And then we even have, for the first time, Corvette luggage. So you can get Corvette fitted luggage that fits nicely in the car, that's made for the car. You can get that as well. So we're really trying to not only, we've always been a great performance car, but now we're going after all the little details, fit and finish, luxury GT type items as well on top of our performance sports car to really make this car a standard of the world.
Well, we look forward to seeing, I certainly look forward to seeing one in the flesh. Harlan, we really appreciate you joining us today. Thanks for your time today.
All right, and I'd like to thanks to all of you and your club and everything for keeping all the excitement of the Corvette going in the UK and the rest of Europe. I think that really is a big help for everything that we're trying to do to make this car more international. So I really appreciate everything you guys have done for the Corvette.
Excellent, our pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much for having me, and thanks Gary, and say hi to Ann for me as well.
Did you get in trouble going on the podium, you and Eric?
No, not real. No, we didn't. We didn't get in any trouble. What we did was, just for everybody, is when at Sebring, we won the race, and at the podium, our friends from Mobile One were giving out the trophies, and they said, myself and Eric, a coworker, they said, you could come up really quick and celebrate with the drivers. Like, are you sure? Yeah. So we went up, and then we were wondering if everybody else that works with me, the executives or whatever, didn't get the chance to have all the fun that we had, if they'd be a little upset. But no, it was all fine. It was all in good fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks. I don't think we need to wish you luck. I think it's going to go fantastically well.
Thanks. I appreciate, but we can take all the luck we can get as well.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Nigel.
Hopefully you got that.
Only just, but so tell us where you are, Nigel. Sorry, Nigel's just managed to join us. He's on an iPad somewhere in America. Where are you?
Yeah, I'm currently, we're in Alabama, on the AL-157, I think it is.
So might there be some more cars coming down?
Yeah, there's one just coming now.
All right, let's have a look.
One of the C4 Corvettes going past. So we jumped ahead of the rest of the tour today because it's actually a 300-mile leg today to Hoover, Alabama. So we left Memphis this morning, drove down into Mississippi, and then across to we're staying just north of Birmingham tonight, and as I say, the venue is just south of Birmingham, a place called Hoover.
So just tell us about this Powertour.
It's basically, if you've been to Wheels Day in the UK...
I have, I've worked on it.
It's basically like Wheels Day, but there's 7 days of it in 7 different cities, and each day you drive sort of 200 to 300 miles between the venues. So typically, being American, they have a stupidly early meeting at like 6:30 in the morning. There's a couple more of the trucks about to come past behind me. So yeah, basically the meetings are very early in the morning, so we don't do that because we're English. So we stay in bed and have, eat at the hotel and things like that. And then because we're in the ZR1, we sort of catch up because we don't necessarily stick to the speed limits.
Naughty.
But yeah, so basically it's 7 days of car shows. And like yesterday, it was at the Memphis International Dragway, so there was drag racing if you wanted to do it. Today at Hoover, we've got this, they've got an autocross set up, and then I think on Friday at South Carolina there's drag racing as well. So,
You going to take the car up the strip?
yeah, I was going to do it yesterday, but it was extremely hot, and also there was a very long queue, so I decided to skip it yesterday. Right, there's about 6 or 7 of the cars coming up.
Up and down.
Can you see that? Okay.
Yes.
There's a couple more just coming, Rob. So can you see that? Okay.
Yes, we can. That's great.
So yeah, I mean, as I say, the event's brilliant because there is no rules on the car you can take. You can basically drive whatever you like, old, new, something you've built, something you've bought. It really makes no difference. And there's because there's what's called the long haul gang, which is the people that are doing the full 7 days, which is us. But there's also other people who just attend one particular day or maybe 2 days of the trip. So, you know, they might drive from, say, Memphis to Alabama and then, you know, go home again. There's one of the Mustangs just leaving here.
I can't believe we're doing an OB from America somewhere. It was amazing. Outside broadcast.
I'm just going to stand up by the road again because there's some more cars coming past.
So we've got Stephen on the other Skype. You're coming over to Le Mans?
Yes, we're coming back. Well, I say we're coming back. I'm coming back for Le Mans.
Can you give us a sum up of the racing that you've either been to or been across at least? And Stephen, you could probably chime in with some stuff. You're aware of all this.
Yeah, I mean the race at Laguna, I completely missed because we were actually back in Europe for the 2 weeks for the Lamborghini 50th trip. I know that the number 3 won, which was good. And I know Ollie Gavin's car, the number 4, had issues again with the gearbox shifter. So I hope that they've got rid of that gremlin, because that's 2 out of 3 races now. They've the same problem, which is basically shifting, and it's an electronic problem rather than a gearbox problem. So I'm hoping that before Le Mans, they'll have taken all the electrics out of the car and thrown them away, the bits that relate to the gearbox, and built some new ones. Because they discovered at Sebring that the problem was to do with a loose pin in the actual connector behind the steering, which was causing the paddles not to work. So hopefully they'll throw all that away and put something in, or they'll go back to an old-fashioned system where they use rods and levers and you can change the gears manually rather than electronically, which is all very well. And it saves you time and gives you a better lap time, but when you spend then half an hour in the pits trying to fix the damn problem with it, it sort of negates the few microseconds that you gain from being able to change electronically over manually.
Stephen, are you going to is there a qualifying week ahead of the racing in Le Mans, is that right?
There's test weekend this coming weekend, in fact.
And are you going?
Yeah, oh yes, absolutely. I think I would imagine the car and the crew are already here. And we're probably going to go up on Friday and say hello, and they're normally putting everything together on the Friday, and then they'll be going through scrutineering on Saturday morning for the test weekend, and then Sunday they'll be running on the full track. I have to say the forecast here is abysmal for the weekend, so I'm not really sure if they'll learn much or if we'll see them doing many miles.
This is just testing, so is there a point where they do actually time testing for qualifying for position?
That happens in Le Mans week itself. So it's test weekend this weekend, and Le Mans, the week starts on the 16th, which is the week before the race. The Sunday scrutineering begins in the city. Corvettes will be going down to the city on the Monday for their scrutineering. Tuesday, autocraft sessions, and then Wednesday, free practice starts in the afternoon and goes on till midnight. And Thursday, again, a little bit of free practice, and then qualifying starts Thursday and goes on again till midnight in various classes. And so by Thursday midnight, we'll know where they all are.
So how do you think, Nigel and Stephen, how do you think Corvette's going to do at Le Mans?
Well, I know that the ACO basically changed the rules Sorry, there's some damn hot rods going past making a lot of noise. Yeah, I know the ACO changed the rules back at the beginning of the season, and it's all to do with the FIA WEC Astons, because basically they were rubbish compared with the Corvette, and I think they wanted sort of some assistance from the ACO. So I have a nasty feeling that the assistance that the ACO have given to the Astons also affects the Pratt & Miller cars, and therefore it could be an Aston Martin year. That would be my. If I was a betting man, I would say it might well be that Aston Martin might well win this year, both in the GT and the GTS club.
Just because of the way the rules have changed?
Yeah, well, basically what they've done is they've basically given the Aston more power and less weight, and they've added, and you know, I mean, last year Aston took the pole with a car that was supposedly they'd done no testing with, and yet they managed to take the pole for the GT class, and now they've got a car which has had more assistance than it had last year. So maybe it's just my pessimistic hat, but I suspect that it could be that Aston might be the team to beat this year. Although, you know, the last couple of years really it's been Corvette have beaten themselves rather than anything else. So,
Stephen, you got any thoughts?
Well, yes. I mean, I have to say I'm sort of fearful because Aston are obviously celebrating their 100th anniversary this year, so are pretty keen to get a win. And of course, they're bringing 4 cars, I think, to the Pro and 2 or 3 to the Amateur. So sheer weight of numbers, they're going to be up against a lot there. Plus the fact the Vipers are proving incredibly strong for a car which is relatively new on the scene. Okay, a sort of reinvention of the old team, but still relatively new, and you know, they showed well at Laguna. And what with them and the Ferraris and a few Porsches, I think our 2 lonely Corvettes are going to have a bit of a struggle to bring it off in a way, although we don't tell them that.
Okay, join us again soon on our next Corvette Web Blast. We don't quite know when that'll be. Don't forget, if you're a member of the CCCUK and you haven't done your subs yet, you really need to get those in, as do I. Also, put any feedback you have about these shows. You can go to our website at corvetteWebblast.com. But also, it's nice if you can put some feedback on the CCCUK website as well. And we're interested in any thoughts that you have on this webcast. So thanks, everybody. Thanks, Nigel. And thanks for pointing your camera at all these marvellous cars. And thanks, Stephen, for joining us from France.
Thank you.
And thanks, Tom, for having us. And
Was a pleasure.
yeah, lovely. And we'll see you all again very soon. Bye-bye.